Hi, this is Lisa from Dynamic Canine, and this is Fitness Friday. And this is Riker, and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about lateral stepping. So that's another foundation exercise, and in that foundation exercise we are moving in a transverse plane, and we are working the muscles that are on the outside and the insides of the shoulders and the inside and the outside of the thighs as the dog moves from side to side. And those muscles are important because the dog never moves in just a straight line. When it runs outside chasing squirrels, balls, it's always zigging and zagging, and they're super important if you do any type of sports such as frisbee or agility, even dock diving, because the dog has to swim and it's turning like this with its muscles, so it's moving its shoulders and even moving its hips in those directions too. So we want to strengthen muscles that move in multiple planes, and lateral stepping can help to strengthen those muscles. But you have to teach the dog to do this exercise on a flat surface first, so it understands how to move its body in those directions first, and then we can start to put it on more complex pieces of equipment. So I'm going to show you how to do it first with Riker. Honestly, he's got very little training in this, so he's a good example. So what I usually start to do is I'll put 2 mats on the floor that are different than the surface that I'm working on, so the dog has something to aim for. And come over here, buddy. And I keep them relatively close together, so the dog is just walking basically from side to side, mat to mat. Now, one of the things you have to understand is when the dog's walking from side to side, we're not looking for that grapevine movement. All I want the dog to do is step from one side to the other. The feet don't have to cross. Don't worry about any of that. The other thing is I'm going to be walking into the dog or next to the dog, but I'm not going to be pushing the dog. I'm going to be almost creating an air cushion of space, which is a little bit of pressure that should push the dog from one side to the other, okay? And you'll see that as we're moving along. But you don't want to you don't want to push the dog or jam the dog at all. You want the dog to move freely. And I'm trying to shape this behavior so I'm not constantly luring it. You'll see it my hand in front of Riker's face, but I'm kind of showing him the cookie, waiting for him to move, marking yes, and then giving him the cookie and waiting for the next movement. If my hand is always in front of the dog's face and moving, over here they can't see, then he's not really using his body, he's just waiting for the cookie, okay? So it kind of looks like this. Let's see if we can get him to do it. Again, he's only not even 6 months old, so we haven't worked on this a lot. You're probably thinking, why did you pick a green dog? But I wanted you to see some of the problems that we worked through. So I'm going to start with him on the mat, and I'm parallel to him. I've got the cookie in his face, and I'm going to try to pull the cookie out and put my foot underneath him and move the cookie a little bit so that he walks. So he stood. Let's get him back over here. Again, parallel. And step. Good. Yes. Good. He took a half a step. Yes. Moved his back foot. Yes. Good. Move him back because I'm dragging him too far forward. Here. And you want to keep them in a straight line too. The dog will tend to kind of move with front foot and then move with back foot, and you kind of want them moving in a straight line as much as possible. Yes, good boy. So my knee was resting against him, but I wasn't pushing him, and that's a little bit of pressure. Okay, so let's see if he goes better this way. Stand. Good. Step. Yes. Okay, let's see if he can get his fanny off of here. Yes, good boy. Yes. Yes. Yes, good. Seems to go better to his left than he does to his right. Maybe that's because he's a lefty like his mom. I'm going to try one more time this way. Ready? Good. Oh, you're going. See, now this is where he's like, okay, I kind of have the idea, but then he swings his butt. His butt goes too fast, so I'm going to bring him back here. Because we do want to keep him in a straight line. This isn't a hind foot target exercise. It's a lateral step side, target side exercise. Come on. There you go. Get the other foot. Yes, good boy. So you kind of get the idea. This is an exercise that takes a lot of training. It's not something they're going to get overnight flat. It is something that you really have to work on. And you can see my mats are close. They're probably only 3 feet apart. I will not separate this mat until he is fluid going from one side to the other. And then I'll probably separate them by about a foot and then keep working from there. At that point, when they're probably 8 to 10 feet apart and I can go fluidly from one side to the other without having to stop, then I might elevate his front feet and see, on a platform and see if I wait and see if I can work with him in that fashion. But for now, we're going to continue on the flat and see how that works. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments below or feel free to message us. I hope you found that helpful, and happy Fitness Friday.